Hi everyone, and welcome to Chit Chat with OggaDoon, where we discuss all things digital marketing and PR. I'm Harry and I'm interning here. I have been for the last week and I'm really enjoying it. Today I'm going to introduce you to a guest who has a wealth of experience in PR and digital marketing, and it's just a pleasure to work with and to learn from. Today, I think the key thing we're going to be discussing is just how significant PR really is on the exposure that a company can receive and how best to really gauge it, because unlike PPC or other types of marketing, it's almost more difficult to gauge the impact that it has. So joining me today is our very own Simon Stone, who is going to try and clear up a few questions that you might be having about just how important PR really is. Hi Simon, how are you getting on?
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. How's everything going on since your internship?
Yeah, it's good. It's definitely a different marketing agency, but yeah, no, it's good. So Simon, you are 4 years into the game of digital marketing and PR, and can you just tell the audience just a little bit more about your experience, how you started, and what your current role is at OggaDoon?
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone. I'm Simon, and I'm the senior PR and marketing executive. I've been in this role for the last 2 years, and it's been a pleasure being at OggaDoon. So I originally started my career by doing an English degree at Plymouth Uni, and then entered the field, as Harry said, about 4 years ago. And yeah, I've been kind of progressing in digital marketing and then PR since then. So yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, but no, I've really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's a bit about myself.
I mean, it's a classic entry, isn't it? English at uni. I studied English as well, and I think it really translates well into marketing. It's quite nice to be able to have that kind of that really nice union of metrics and words, and to be able to explore that a little bit. So tell me a little bit about what your normal day is at OggaDoon, and what have you been up to today, and what's your last week been like?
So it's really hard to kind of like talk about what my normal day would be like, because it depends on what the demand of the client is, basically. Often it will be press releases or social media, but other times it can be kind of like doing a lot of research into kind of media lists, or kind of compiling analytics reports for our clients. So it's always kind of chopping and changing, but I love that. It's nice to have such a varied workplace and such a diverse kind of like workload, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what I found when I was interning here. We were just constantly jumping between different things. Something would come up, a new press release would come out. It was just so refreshing, actually, really interesting. But I suppose that's a really nice segue into what I was going to ask you, actually, which is, how do you really gauge the impacts of PR on the growth of a business? Because as you said, there's just so many areas that can be explored, and yeah, how do you run a client through what OggaDoon can offer them?
Yeah, sure. So I'll first of all just kind of like talk about like PR in general. So we see PR as the kind of voice of your brand, and like how you connect with your audiences worldwide, essentially, and present yourself as you wish to be intended. So in terms of metrics, it very much comes down to what you were saying about at the beginning. It can be sometimes hard to quantify the impact of PR. You can do it through certain metrics. So we do it through engagements and articles, but also we can do it in other respects, such as looking at monthly unique visitors. So if you get an article in a publication, we can kind of use certain tools just to see how many people have usually gone onto that website, and then we can work out how many times that article would have been viewed. But I think the best type of metric is actually how the client feels after that kind of publication has covered it. They will often feel more seen, they will have more brand awareness. Someone might say, oh, congratulations on that article, I really enjoyed it, could we discuss it more? So those are the kind of metrics we're kind of looking at.
Exactly, and those are almost the harder ones to gauge. And I think it's really, really important that you brought that up, because it's so often that the only way of justifying marketing spend is by looking at a clear set of metrics and saying, this is what we spent and this is what we got back. But I think what Caroline stresses as well is that is often just such a fickle way of building like a customer base, because as soon as you turn that marketing tap off, as soon as you stop doing paid ads, everything just disappears. PR is just so much more long term. It's like Weetabix as opposed to Rice Krispies, you know.
I love that analogy.
Yeah, you just kind of, it really substantiates you through the day and just keeps you going. So that's not to say that PPC and some forms of marketing aren't covered by you guys. So tell me a little bit more about the team. Tell me more about Ella, Elena, Tan, Nicola, Caroline. What do you guys all kind of dominate in your different areas?
Yeah, sure. So we have a small team, but we are definitely more than the sum of our parts. So yeah, like the team's great. I mean, like obviously, as I said, I've been here 2 years. Caroline started this business back in 2012, so it's been actually a decade of OggaDoon.
Yeah.
Caroline's very good at the strategic PR for clients. Nicola, associate director, especially very good at PR once again, and also does a lot of the biz dev like Caroline.
Yeah, they're very cool customers, aren't they? They've been putting out fires their whole career. They kind of know a PR crisis. They know how to better a company's PR, but they can just manage anything and everything. Honestly, those two together are just incredible. So tell me about the others.
Yeah, so other members of our team, we've got Elena, who's based in Romania. So yeah, she's been working for the last 2 years as well. She joined about like 2 weeks after me, and very valued member of the team. She is our kind of like digital marketing expert. So if we have like a paid marketing campaign, she's who we go to, and she really helps to kind of get down to that data and really deliver results, which is really great. We have Tan, who has been with us about 3 months now. She has been kind of like learning the ropes with digital marketing and PR, and some of her clients are absolutely fascinating and she's really loving it. And then finally we have Ella, who is our copywriter, and she's based in London. She does a lot of blogs for OggaDoon, but also helps us with some client work as well. So yeah, small team, but definitely bigger than the sum of its parts.
Oh, 100%. And it's just such a nice environment. I mean, I the week that I was here, Caroline would be going out, getting us hot chocolates to start the morning, and then we'd all jump on a Zoom call and bring the one piece of digital marketing news that we'd learnt that week, and sharing it. Yeah, I just think there's definitely like a family feel to the workplace.
Yes, and that's a very good point actually. We're very up to date with like the kind of like news cycle, and I think it's so important that in PR you understand what's trending across all your sectors, because that's how you understand the kind of opportunities for your clients essentially. So
yeah, 100%, and you can see opportunities before they even arise in like the public sphere, because it's kind of like sets of waves coming in and you can kind of see them before they really can be exploited. So Simon, thank you so much. That's really interesting. I suppose kind of touching upon our core subject for today, what would you do for a client that comes in and says, I want to improve my brand perception and I want to become more well-known in the public sphere? What steps and strategies would you employ to make sure that they got their desired outcomes?
Yeah, so I guess it would be that kind of like beginning of the relationship. We'd really try to look at what they really need. So as you said, there's so many different reasons why a client might come to us. And it's really kind of like the recommendations that we give will be kind of like matched to that. So yeah, whether that's improving reputation or trying to deliver more leads, that's all kind of part of the kind of overall package. And there's no kind of one size fits all kind of package. We kind of really try to look at how best to serve that client. So it could be that we look at articles that they could be featured in publications, for example, or maybe there's kind of like networks or like connections we can kind of get them in with. and that can really kind of help their standing. There's awards ceremonies and also conferences as well. So really getting your brand out there and getting that message of what they want to kind of show.
Yeah.
So, PR is like we say, long game, but also very varied as well.
And I suppose it's worth saying, and I'll say this as someone that's been here for the last week. Even just in that last week, I've realised just how well connected OggaDoon is. Like, if you want to get an article in a publication, if you want to get that interview, if you want to kind of become more well known in any sphere, I mean, you guys are pretty well connected, and it takes. I mean, Caroline started OggaDoon 10 years ago?
10 years ago, yeah.
It takes that time, takes over a decade to build those connections, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because you can't really hope to kind of build that brand awareness unless you're leveraging off connections that you have. And if you don't have them, you need to go somewhere and talk to people that do have them, which I think you can rightly say you do, really.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no, Caroline's been in PR for, I think, longer than 10 years as well. So I'm a big expert in her game, and so very valued to anyone who works with her. And yeah, just going back to PR, it really just helps to kind of like build that kind of like credibility. So we've kind of discussed in the past about how it really brings you into the eyes of potential customers, but you also kind of have to think about how best to connect with them. A lot of our clients will be like, they want to get in those tier one big multinational publications, and that's perfect. But for some stories or for some products, it might be better to get into those more niche, local, regional publications, or maybe even sector-based, because that's where the customers will really be, and that's how you really maximize that kind of impact. So yeah.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Chit Chat with OggaDoon with our very own Simon Stone. Simon, first question, what does OggaDoon actually mean?
So that's actually a very good question. So OggaDoon is actually, I think it's like a Scottish word for gibberish, but I think Caroline chose this as it was very distinct and unique, and I kind of think you really remember that name like when you hear it. So yeah, it's a great.
Well, I had no idea what it meant.
Yeah.
But it was fun to find that out.
No, of course.
I think it's fair to say, elephant in the room here, the last 2 years have been crazy. The pandemic's just changed everything, day-to-day lives and how we choose to work. Lots of people working from home, how we choose to consume. More people are buying online than ever before. In a post-pandemic world, how can we effectively utilize PR for companies? How can we make sure that they get the results they're looking for?
Yeah, so it's a really great question actually, and I joined in the middle of the pandemic, but as a society we completely changed the way we did a lot of things. We saw that remote working was actually something we could do. A lot of people went to kind of like more digital forms of banking. A lot more talk of sustainability as well. So the world changed, and also with that, so did PR. Like you said, more people were looking for those online news stories as they were kind of stuck in their houses. And so there is that kind of like permanent shift that was already beginning before the pandemic. And now we're starting to come out, for sure, like yeah, exactly, hopefully. Now we're seeing that print and more traditional forms of media, they very much have their place for a certain type of audience, but digital PR is still really, really effective. And I think we've touched on this, but digital PR can really help you with a lot of your social media. It can help you with your SEO, backlinks. So if you get an article in a big publication with a high domain authority, that can really help you with your SEO, your rankings, etc. So yeah, it's really, really feeds into each other.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important to touch upon, is that the fact that nobody really knows what Google are doing with those algorithms, but there are certain things that if you do consistently right, you will rank higher, such as getting backlinks from really well-established companies and websites. What OggaDoon is really good at, and I think you'd agree with me, is really getting the human element out of the story, because that is how you're going to get published in a publication. They're going to want to know the story behind the product, how it helps someone. And I think, is it right to say that you guys are really good at kind of unlocking the human side of your client's image and getting that out there a bit more?
Definitely. It's yeah, that's another great question. I'd say that human focus, I think, is always important, because I think that people always want to see beyond the curtain of that kind of more corporate brand image. And so whether this is across social or digital media or PR, it all kind of helps. It's always great to have a spokesperson for your brand, that CEO, managing director, doesn't matter who it is, but who can kind of answer and be the kind of like the voice of your brand, essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's so important to really focus on individuals, and how that kind of builds into that brand image, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I was just looking at PPC, paid ad campaigns on Facebook, and even the algorithms are just so geared to, they respond better to human faces. So all of the ad copies that we were testing, which had photos of actual human faces as opposed to landscapes or pets even, they just perform so much better. And it just shows that people respond really well just to the people behind the brand and not necessarily the brand itself, I suppose. Thank you, Simon. That's really, really interesting. I suppose what our listeners and our viewers will probably want to hear is what your implementable advice is today that they can take away to help improve the PR of their company.
Yeah, so I think earlier we talked about how every company has different goals, and I think it's good before you even do anything to really think about these kind of goals, what you want to achieve. And from our perspective, like, PR can be done across various different mediums. Like we said, it can be networks, it can be media. It doesn't even need to be free, like editorial. It could be that you pay to play and have a placement somewhere. So yeah, PR can be whatever you want it to be. And I think that's precisely why it's such a great field to be in and why I love working in it.
Yeah, and I suppose where you come in is it can be whatever you want it to be, but you guys are going to help them place themselves exactly in the right places. And if they don't necessarily know where to place, you are going to show them a bit more. Yeah. Well, no, thank you so much for joining us, Simon. I mean, you've been a brilliant guest, and it's so nice to have such a forthcoming individual to lead us out for the first show. But we won't take any more of your time today. We know you're really busy with clients. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Harry. It's been a pleasure being here.
Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back with some more interviews very shortly. But I'm sure you can agree that was a really insightful interview, and I think it goes without saying, Simon is just a pleasure to work with and a really lovely guy. So it was so good to have him on the show. Until next time, that's all from us. So we will catch you on the next one.